glad you are a-okay. All right. Hello, and welcome to the podcast from Dwindlevan. I'm Kyle, and in today's podcast, we're going to do something a little bit different as we talk about the world of Severion. Because today, we're talking about our story. Okay, we're back at it.
We're back at it.
We're back at it. Let's go. This is new because we just barely tried out the intro from the opening. Guys got everything figured out. This is super excited. I'm excited. Our man in the chair.
Learning as we go, right? Ian, back in the chair.
Yep. Our guy in the chair is doing an awesome job. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. This is technically your brainchild to begin with, and you let me in, so why don't you lead us out?
Well, all right. So I really wanted to start off the year, the new year, by talking about where we have been and where we're going to go. And I mean, originally it was my brainchild, but it definitely would not be where it is today without you. Um, and everybody else that's been involved, and I mean, huge to John, all of
Right?
the
Oh my
artwork, how
gosh.
beautiful it is, all that kind of stuff. It's super, super good. There's also a first time viewing today live. We'll see the commercial. Don't show it yet. I'm going to say when, but John has finished the commercial, and so we're going to show it live. So I
I'm
wanted
excited.
to talk about that. So originally, it was so while my wife was pregnant with the man in the chair, Ian, 16 years ago,
Holy
15 and a
crap.
half years ago or so, um, I was playing a MMO. And I won't discuss which one, but
But
I was.
what's an MMO?
What's an MMO? It's an online game. For those of you who don't know, it's a massive multiplayer online game. So I was playing that, and I thought to myself, I bet I could create a game that's better than this. It didn't take very long, and I realized that coding was not my forte. So creating a video game was not going to be the thing. And then I moved. My family and I moved. Ian was born, and then we ended up in Baumholder, Germany. I was in the army at the time,
Oh yes. Good
and
old
then I was
bondholder.
shipped off to war. And that's actually where I met Kyle. Was on our way to war. And while we were there, one of the earlier days there, ruck marching, and I posed the idea to him, and we actually spent a lot of time while we were deployed playing a tabletop role playing game. And we started talking about different abilities and different powers that you could do, like theoretically in a game where there weren't quite as many limits.
Because we played. I got my hands on fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons PDF version, and it was like very early on fourth edition, and I was not a fan. Like I think we can all agree that they tried some things, and kudos to Wizards because they put out some great stuff. Because
For sure.
holy heck. But yeah, I think the limitations were very frustrating because you're like, I want to do this, and I'm trying to read the rules and be like, I don't think we can have you do this. Like, I don't
But
have
you
a way.
can't.
We have to build a way for you to do this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that kind of took a step. I think kind of introduced the idea that maybe Severion didn't need to be a video game. And so after we got back, we both came back to the States, and
You were in
we thought-
Washington, and
yeah,
I was in Maryland.
yeah.
They couldn't have put us for, I guess. Yeah, no, they really.
Yeah, stateside, they couldn't have put us further away from each other. So then we thought, well, maybe it just needs to be a story. Like, let's write a book, and just have this cool story. And then, I don't know if it was you or me, but something happened, and it was just like, this needs to be a board game. Like, this could be an epic board game. So
Was it because I was working the ER, and it was late at night. So luckily, the 4 hour time difference. 4 hour
4 hour
time
time
difference played in our advantage because I had a slow moment. We were just on the phone chatting back and forth, and I think it was a flippant comment, and then it became a, well, we could.
Well, we could. But wait, we love board games, and we both grew up playing board games, and yeah, it was like, all right, let's do this.
Oh yeah.
And so I drew out this like standard square board with square
Spaces.
spaces, and we did very rudimentary, like, okay, every guy can move this far, and you have like this ability and this ability, and how do they play off of each other? And we kept developing, okay, now we can add another ability, I think it took us, that was November-ish,
Yeah.
and I think it was February
That's when.
No, it couldn't have been.
No, because I wrote the first iteration of rules in like December time frame, I think, where our first. This is how you play the game, which was terrible.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
So yeah, it would have been late November, early December time frame, and then my wife and two other people that were local to me started like testing the game and doing that kind of stuff, and it was crazy. It took us till, because we had 16 months, so whatever 16 months before April is.
That's more math than I can do on the top of my head.
So
right
16
now.
months before April of 2014, when we finished with the basic rules. I went to like a Kinko's or something, and I printed off the board, and then I got all of my army buddies together, and we just started playing once a month. And so we would take the rules as they were written, and 9 of us would sit around the game because it's a 9-player game. Oh, Ian said it's January. So January is when it started.
Heck yeah.
Or when it ended. But then the 9 guys would sit around the table and pick apart the rules. And I want to do, like, there were a lot of people that participated. A couple of people that I want to point out. Jacob Rexford. He was our dwarf. He's the reason, as I said in the dwarf meeting, he's the reason we had to create a way to destroy people who turtled.
Yep.
And I think the biggest shout out needs to go to him as far as people who played the game and actually like engaged in helping with the rules that wasn't, involved as a partner, because he would tear apart the rules every time we played. He would find the loopholes and take advantage of them every single time. And we played this for 16 months straight without a break. And he only missed one of them the whole time.
That's dope.
And the last 2 times we played, he said, all right, guys, we figured it out. Like, it's done. And so
Jacob's the reason I had to do so many rewrites to the rules.
yes,
Thanks,
he's
Jacob.
the reason.
And
So
for
we
real,
would
thank
take
you.
all the loopholes that were done throughout the game and then send it back to Kyle, and Kyle and I would go back and forth. And a couple others I want to just shout out real quick. I don't want to forget anybody, but Kevin Emily was a really big part of it. Timothy Hovey was a huge part of it. He's the reason the halflings are as dynamic as they are. He played them a lot. And then there were a couple others. Captain Jameson, he was our chaplain. He used to come and play with us every now and again. He helped out a lot with the rules. And then a lot of people like rotated in and out. Christian Price,
Yep.
he was there a number of times and really helped out with the rules as well. And so I just want to shout out to all of those individuals. I know there were more, and I apologize if you're watching this and you were part of that. Please feel free to send me a message. I'll remedy that.
Yeah, we'll
for
definitely
sure.
throw a shout out.
It has been 15 years, so I apologize if that has.
Holy heck.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So the game itself, and I don't want to give too much away because this is a rule thing, and it's the reason that I think that Severion will be something else, and it will really, really change the way that people play games. But the very first time we sat through the game, it took us 13 hours to play, and we did not finish. And so we came back, and Kyle and I figured out a way to make it feel more real time. So do you want to talk about that? That took us a couple months, but
Oh man, we went back and forth trying to figure out how how to make this play. I think the hardest part was how to write it out so it was interpreted well to make it understandable. Because I could show you, absolutely, I could show you. Oh, hey, yeah, this is all you got to do. You just got to go in there and make the goodness gracious, you just got to go in there and do this, and then while you're doing this, they're doing that. And how do you take action and translate it into the words? But more than that, we had to make sure it made sense, and we didn't want it to be where it was so punishing that you could not do it if you didn't know. Like, you wouldn't make it so that if you came into this your first time, that you would be punished for your lack of understanding. It is kind of funny because if someone is new, generally it's the people who are experienced that end up getting punished because they get into the habit of being able to react and move faster than other people.
right. The
so
last time we played it, you dealt with that. We were playing, so the most recent time we played the game, we took it to Boulder to play with Ethan.
Yeah, it was Ethan.
And I don't know if I have permission to say the other guy's name.
One of Ethan's friends, good friend of ours.
One
as well.
of Ethan's good friends. Ethan is our marketing guy.
Yep.
So he's actually the one doing all of our Facebook and Instagram posts.
Heck yeah.
But
He's
we
doing a
went up
great
and
job.
played with them, and legitimately, so Ethan would take his turn faster, so I would get to go before Kyle.
I had his leader dead to rights 3 times in a row, and I just needed my turn to finish it off.
And I was like, I'm just gonna heal him.
And I'm just gonna move it one step out of the way. So I'm like, "Grrr." Oh. So there's still some turn based. There has to be some turn, because without being able to resolve stuff, it becomes impossible.
Right.
So there's
But
still some turn based elements, but it is.
Yeah. I think we have it as close to it not being turn based as possible without getting rid of a turn based system.
Once you get the hang of it, it is so much fun. Oh man, it is. I can't. Going to a regular game after that feels slow. Well, so it's just something to look forward to. It feels very slow. The gameplay progresses very snail pace. So just another way to say slow, because that's all I'm going to say on this, because it's the best way I can put it. And it's not as engaging. And that's the key part, because when you have hello hat, when you have somebody who that suffers from a desire to be constantly stimulated, so ADD, ADHD, this is going to help combat that. The way we've built these rules help, especially because you have to stay engaged, and so you're not sitting there already planned your turn, sitting on your phone, and then you have like it's you have more time. You have to pay attention to prepare your strategy because the board's changing the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more real-time war strategy, and not that other games are bad. Like when you play a 4-player game and the turns only take 2-3 minutes a time,
It's not bad at all.
like that's not a big deal when it's linear. But when you're playing like
9 people.
a 9-person war
You have
strategy
9
game, and
people.
everybody's turn is taking 10ish minutes, between 5 and 10 minutes per person, every round is like an hour and a half,
That's too long.
and it's too long. So we figured that out. And I don't want to say anything negative about other games because
No,
they're
not at
great.
all.
It just, with 9 people sitting around the board, we needed something non-linear.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so we kind of figured that out.
Oh yeah.
I think okay, I think we should play the commercial.
All right, let's
Ian,
go
will
commercial.
you play the commercial right now?
All right. That looks so good.
So
Way to go, John.
Yeah, so John did that. He's the other partner in all of this. So the three of us are the owners of the game and the Severian board games, and he is the one that you have not seen the face of
Yet.
Not that he's not as important, just he's he
We are
lives
limited
in
by
a different state.
Yeah.
Kind of limited, but his role has been instrumental to where we are, and the pictures, the website, all of that is him. So I just want to shout out. So we got a question from Sarah.
We do. And that question is, once the game is on the shelves, do we get a live playthrough? And I think we actually put that as one of our Kickstarter rewards. No, that was
No, the Kickstarter reward is you can go and request a time that I will sit down and live stream with you while you're playing, or Kyle will, and help walk you through the game.
That's right. But yeah, no, we could absolutely do a live playthrough of the game. It's going to be chaos.
Yes.
We can at least do a couple rounds. Yeah.
We will. And so we have another channel on the YouTube. We haven't launched it yet. There's no video, so don't go there because there's nothing to view. But there is going to be a channel where we'll post the commercial, and then any of our playthroughs that we do, we're going to post as well. Explanations, FAQs, and stuff like that. So if anybody has any questions on how to play the game or whatever, we're going to have those, and the individual pieces. John's going to do a video for the weather event that you see, the heat wave one that was on the commercial, and what does it do. We'll do a short little video. So
when we should do that one, we have to showcase the Wind Mage as well, because that's when it comes into the most dynamic play concept.
Right.
Oh man.
So
I'm excited for us to get to sit down and talk about the different character classes and what came from that, and then leading into how that built up into a we since we've been kind of waiting to get the board game launched for a while now, we started working on a tabletop RPG of our own that takes place in the world of Severion. So we've had a lot of time to flesh out the races, which is where all this information that we're putting out now is coming from, and build new concepts. And we are in the process of reworking how people would play tabletop games, and we're going to give that a try here soon. We're testing that out. I'm excited to get that out to people eventually as well.
Yes, that's exciting.
So
when we're talking about the story, like we have been talking about, and we will continue to talk about, we talk about the Fall of Severion, that's the board game. That's the flagship game. That's where we started. That's what the commercial is for. Mm-hmm. And then after the affirmation, that part of the story is where we're putting the role-playing game that we're developing. And while you can play it at any age, that's kind of where we're designing it.
That's I feel like I'm missing.
I have no idea what that question is. Can you retype it? And so we're developing all of the different classes basically have an expanded view of all of the different things that they can do. And we're hoping to have a really engaging role-playing game for you guys. And that one won't be here anytime soon because
it's still a couple of years out.
Yeah, we have over 400 different abilities and talents and balancing. It just takes a long time, but we are working on it.
Yes.
So there is that for you guys.
And so we have a question here: is there still the AoE healer in the board game? And that answer is yes. We have the bishop. The bishop heals in a, is it 6 hex? No, that's too much.
It's 4.
It's 4 hex, yeah. And it heals every unit you have in a 4 hex radius.
Yes.
And it's weaker than your priest, but overall healing power, if you get like everybody in the heal zone, that actually heals more overall. But it's just the bishop's a good piece.
Yeah. It doesn't have as many.
That is not a question we can answer right now.
Oh,
because there are AoE heals.
Yes, there are AoE heals in the
role playing game. There are AoE heals,
and there are single target heals.
Yep, and there are single target. And sorry, so the question is like, how come there are no current AoE heals in the RPG currently? And it's like, well, we have a couple.
There are.
Yeah. It depends on the class you play, and even our standard healer class has an AoE
function to it.
Yes. So yeah, we have that there. It's just treated differently. But I think I have more fun with the board game. When it's kind of hard for me when I talk about it with people. So I'm like, they're like, "What's your favorite board game to play?" And I'm like, "Mine."
Right. When I'm like meeting new people, I'm like, "So what do you like to do for fun?" "Oh, I'm a board gamer, hardcore board game." "What's your favorite game?"
Mine. You have a board game? Yeah. And then it gets kind of hard to be like, well, I have this wonderful game. It's just you can't play it yet.
But you can play it.
But eventually you can play it because we're just getting there. Oh.
Yeah.
It has come through some challenges. I still remember when our first pieces were blocks. Little painted wooden.
I bought the knobs that you put in for cabinets.
That's right. They were
little knobby things, and then we painted them and wrote a number on them.
And then the star was your hero,
your leader,
because you have 10 units to place, and yeah, so you had 1 through 9, and then your star, and
because he's stronger than everybody else.
Oh, he gets more toys to play with.
Yes,
or she. They get more toys to play with.
So
yeah, and so when we're talking about the fall and the board game, we have the heroes that we showcase, like we did the dwarves earlier this week, and so we had talked a little bit about Onizu, but not him specifically, mostly about the dwarves. But we have the heroes that existed during the time of the fall.
Yeah,
they were effectively like not the last great heroes, but during, like, after the affirmation, the segregation of the races is over.
Right.
So there's really no more great rulers of Kungin, or there's no more great rulers of Zedge, any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is, it's interesting. I never really thought it. Kind of was like, these really are the last great independent heroes until they all get blown up.
Well, then the heroes are part of the empires or
That's true.
outlying territories. It's never like the human is great, or the dwarf is great. Like Onizu was. So
Right. It's just one of those things. We're just kind of realizing we built a really dynamic world here.
I think,
Oh yeah.
and it's gone through a lot. We've had a couple of different artists. I really love who we landed on. Do you want to tell how we got there?
Oh, the
Want to talk about
artist.
how we got the artists?
One of our, I don't know if he wants to remain anonymous or not, but we had an individual who decided to give us some investiture for artwork because we did our really janky board game playthrough with them, and they
Which,
really
if you're
liked
watching
it.
and we can shout out, let me know.
Yep,
I'd love to, but I don't want to without your permission.
exactly. If you want to be an anonymous donor, that's absolutely okay. So we got a donation, and we did not know how to go about finding an artist, and so it just said to Reddit. And so we actually hosted an art competition on Reddit, gave an obscure description of
Azeral.
it was Azeroth.
Figured
Yep.
that was the hardest one.
We gave an obscure description of Azeroth with like 3 sentences, and then let everybody go for it, and we picked the finalists. And since there was money involved, people were more willing to actually participate because we weren't just being like, "Hey, come do art for us, and then we'll give you a shout out and we'll give you exposure." No, these are artists; they're professionals. They don't deserve to work for free.
Well,
I've never subscribed to that.
We tried that for a while with the free, and it like never came to fruition. People were like, they would do one thing and
And then
another thing, and while the work was really good, it was really hard to motivate them to actually accomplish
absolutely,
the tasks.
it's like money makes things move.
It's like
So it was awesome. We ended up we picked our final 3, and we ended up going with Adam.
we did.
Adam did, I think, the most realism was I think the style that really popped out, because for our finalists we then gave them another caricature and said, okay, we picked you guys, we want you to do, here's a leader description, and I think we gave him Clat.
Did we?
I think we gave him Clat.
I think we gave him Clat. Yeah.
Yeah, we gave him Clat. We gave him our orc leader, and we said go to town, and we had
No, that one was Azeral. We asked people on Reddit to just give us. We gave them a general idea of what they were doing, and we just wanted to see their work. And so they posted like what they had previously done, and we went through all of that. That's what it was. And then the top 3 we gave Azeral and Clat.
yes.
To
That's what it was, because we wanted to see their style in total. And then we were very like, if you made it to the final 3, you got paid for your work, and then we paid Adam the rest for his work. And again, Adam Barker, great job. Always shout him out, even though he still got paid.
No, I'll always shout him out.
Absolutely,
he's
the artwork is
fantastic.
gorgeous.
I'm following him still on Instagram, looking at his new stuff. He's like
Crushing
he's
it.
still improving. He's a fantastic artist, but
Heck yeah.
that's who we went with, and
Never disappointed, because it helped really, I think, to bring the cities to life. And we haven't talked about Azeroth quite yet, but we have a post about it on our Instagram and our Facebook.
no, we talked about it. That was
We
the very
did,
first
that's
one.
right.
That's the most compared.
But for those who haven't seen that episode yet, Azeroth is a swampland that is completely covered in canopy, so it doesn't see the sun. Instead, the plants give off a bioluminescent light, and that was what we gave people to work with, and the work was stunning. Like, I want to go back and see if our post is still up, so I can also like give appreciation to the other 2 contestants who.
And I do want to make it like the other 2 artists were fantastic.
They just weren't
It's
the
just-
style we were looking for.
Exactly.
Because they were absolutely gorgeous. We had very anime style. I like anime. I'm a bit of a weeb. I love it. So
It just didn't fit the vibe.
yeah,
Is all.
it just didn't. And never knocking on the style, because they were gorgeous. And the one was like in that weird in between where it was cartoonish but more comic cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite as much, but
Oh, we have a
So
question
then-
coming in. Anyway, what were we saying while we get this question coming in?
then we went after that 16 months, and Jacob said, "Hey, we've figured it out. It's good." We decided to move to hexes instead of squares, just for like, because we had it'll go this far if it's a straight line and it'll go this far if it's diagonal. But then we had these areas, with the crosses, you have this, and then you'd have this, and then you have like blank spaces. And if a fire mage is throwing a fireball, he's not going to have blank spaces.
Right.
So we decided to use hexes, and you stagger the hexes as you go. So if it's a straight line, it's this far, and if it's not, you just count them as
Yep. 1, 2, 3,
adjacent
4.
tiles, and it
It felt
seemed
better.
to work better. So
And hexes hadn't really caught on very well. Like they were really, no one was doing hexes. It was hard to cater to, and it wasn't like we were like, we're gonna be the first. It was just like, these fit our game much better.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, hexes seem weird, bro. I was not a fan of the change, but once I actually saw it in action, because I want you to keep in mind, I had not seen the prototype. I had not seen the game played. All I was getting was verbal feedback from this guy over the phone once a week. Like, to figure out what was happening and then making the rule changes from a distance. And then when I finally got to go out and see the game, it was awesome.
yeah, considering you practically like wrote the rules without seeing the game. Is, yeah.
It was pretty wild. I had a good picture in my head, and you guys did a pretty good job painting it. But seeing it come into fruition was, like, even with our janky little Home Depot, Michael's Arts and Crafts style was just absolutely.
That's all it was.
I love it. The flags, I think, were the most complex part of the creation process for for keeping track of turns.
Yeah. So.
And then how did you guys come up with the race symbols? Because that was already in place long before I ever got my hands.
Oh, so my wife and I sat down one night, and I said, "Hey, I need a bunch of symbols for the races to like tell us who's who, what colors and symbols and stuff like that." And so she just started doodling symbols that she thought looked cool. And I picked 9 of them out, and that's what we went with. And I was like, that's for the Muscapert, that's for the dwarves.
Heck
that's
yes.
Minotaur. And that's how we decided on that. The color is random. There was no like purpose behind which race is assigned to which color. It wasn't like, oh, the humans seem like they're the brownest color, so we went with humans. Like that was not it was literally like, I need 9 colors that are unique, and so we just threw them at, and then
we had to make some changes too to make sure that there was a good spread so that if you're color impaired,
yeah,
they came across better.
But we also have the symbols, so
yes,
even
that
if
helps.
you have that issue, we still have the symbols.
Yeah. The wives have played a pretty integral part in this build up. Definitely, they've been a huge part of the team behind the scenes. My wife as well, who is doing an awesome job making helping us with the views, and our wives together had a lot of fun creating a lot of our current plant life and animal
life. A lot of, I would say a vast majority of the plant life and the animal life that we have in the world of Severion. Like, once we launch the role-playing game, you'll be able to see those, because obviously when you're playing a board game, it's a little more linear. There's no role-play aspect to it, so
True.
Who cares what kind of plants there are and stuff like that. But there is all of that available, and our wives have designed a whole ecosystem for the world to play in.
Just hearing my wife talk about it, she still has a lot of fun talking about that, so I'm excited to get them back into working on it.
Yeah, it's been quite
we could use some more plants and some more animals, and I need some more flora and fauna while we're writing, so we can add that to the to the lineup of stuff. Because everything, okay, we're gonna talk about this. Everything in Severion is unique. We didn't pull, other than our actual world experience, because you can't really get away from that.
Right.
There is no transference over, really, as far as like species, that kind of stuff, from our world. It is all brainchild. What if we did this? I mean, at one point in time, I'm fairly certain you had your kids get on Spore and just make goofy monsters.
Yes. We absolutely have some of our monsters are from Spore. I mean, originally, like,
yeah.
I mean, they've taken some like that's where we got the original idea for them. But,
Oh man.
um,
We've definitely been able to pull a lot of different tools from a lot of different places for resources and inspiration, but I think we don't want to talk about this too much. So when you and I both worked in the oil field, we had to make a lot of long trips in the truck together to go to some pretty remote places, and we would just work. We would just brainstorm ideas and flesh things out. Be like, "Oh, bro, what if this happened?" And "Oh, what if we did this?" And
12 hours
How
in
would
the
they-
car
Yep.
driving to a place.
got to stay awake. It's no one like not good service.
Yeah.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a lot of time together. Like we joke about it. Because when my wife and I, we didn't actually live in the same state until what, 7 years ago, 8 years ago now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we did all this work long distance before Zoom was a tool. Skype was the
This guy was the go-to.
the go-to Skype and phone calls, because
So-
I'm still the dirtbag. I'm the green bubble in the text message group. So we can't FaceTime. So
Right.
uh,
Real quick, Ian,
yeah.
I do not know the answer to that question. So I apologize.
so yeah, we'd have to actually go and
We'll have to find it.
yeah, I'd have to find my login information for the Reddit login, and it's changed. It may have been purged. Reddit
Yeah, it may have been. I don't know.
Reddit got bought, so
But
years ago. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
So on one of our trips, we developed a language. So we have a language called Celestial. And on the very first episode, when Corbin said the name of the Keepers of the Peace in that weird language, that is actually the language of Severion.
the gods specifically.
The gods specifically. Yeah,
'Cause Severianites speak common. They speak a common tongue. They never had a Tower of Babel incident that confounded their languages.
Yeah.
If we want to go
so they all speak
biblical
the same
reference.
language. But yeah, we have a language. However, our goal with it is to teach it and never post it.
Ever.
So it will never be posted online.
Never. Nope.
You can't learn it. You have to learn it from someone who already knows it.
It's an if you know, you know.
Exactly. So people start catching some words here and there, but it's a complicated language. But
yeah, it takes a minute to get used to. It's something that I need to practice my spoken more.
me too.
I write it really fluently.
You do, yeah. I watch you write it sometimes, and I'm like, that's fantastic. I wish mine was that fluent.
I mean, well, the base point for the actual written language was it was a code some friends and I used to use. That was the jump off point. We would write notes because we couldn't just text in class back then, so we would. And I got tired of my notes being taken and like my teachers trying to embarrass me. And rather than like write something out embarrassing that they would have to either respond or read out loud or make me read out loud, which would also be embarrassing. We just started writing in code. As a friend of mine that he and I developed it together, and his name's Lane. He's an awesome guy. And there's like 4 of us, I think, that knew this, and so we would be in class just scribbling away, and this note passed around, and the teacher would snatch it up, look at it, and just get mad and like slam it back down. And that was the basis for the Celestial written language, which is part of why I write really well in it, because for years
You knew it for
Yep.
the most part.
Yeah. So we have a whole language there. And I mean, talking about from the development of it, I remember listening to you talk about how the evolution where it was going to be an MMO, a massive multiplayer game, and you would have people fighting to be the demon lord in the underworld and
The Titan.
Yes.
That's what we were calling him.
the Titan, and like having to fight to maintain that as a guild and a group, and just all those really cool ideas that I think would have been great. We just, not just the coding issue, I think the timing, the massive multiplayer world, the world was changing again. Things were moving too fast, and time was precious. Time's become more precious.
Yeah. And so we've lost all that. We don't have demons and titans and
Nope.
stuff like that. For those of you who have been watching the creation story, we have the lesser gods of the overworld and underworld. but we don't actually have demons
Nope.
or angels
Nope.
in our world. And so that whole thing has gone away. And then, I mean, when you play the role playing game, play it however you want, do whatever you want with it. That's the beauty of that. So,
And that's one of the things we're really looking forward to with the way we structured it. To also talk about it in the creation story that we've set it up so that this world became a test, and you can have other people. And we're really excited for this as well, for people to go out there and like homebrew. I'm ecstatic to see that. And then I can go there and I can actually play in someone else's homebrew world that is comparable to what we've put together, and be like, I'm excited to reach out to them someday and be like, "Yo, you want your Dysacto status?
you want your dissect.
you want to be integrated into the greater whole." And then to be able to have a situation potentially where you can have players go to different worlds that were created by other creative types, to give them a platform to build into.
Absolutely. That'll be so much fun.
I'm ecstatic for that.
So, a question that was asked yesterday by one of my children was, where do the names come from for the 9 races? And some of them were just random name generators.
Good old RNG.
Good old RNG. But so we have four of them were playing the same MMO that I was playing when I decided to start building Severion. I didn't stop playing that for a while. Continued playing it for a number of years, but and again, I don't have permission to use their specific names, but I do want to say, so Rymat was a character from someone that I actually knew. Alcarin, I guess I still know them. It's not like I don't know them anymore. So I still know these people. But Alcarin was a character. Serona was a character. And then Yalik was my wife's character in the game. And so we used those 4 for the halfling is Serona, the minotaur is Alcarin, the human is Rymat, and then the elf is Yalik. Those are the only ones that I maintained. The other ones either you came up with or were random.
Some of them,
I don't know where they came from.
Some of them were already established beforehand, and some of them we just kind of came and cleaned up, because I think some of them had some pretty crazy names. Like my favorite city in the world, Bernarnagard.
Listen, I like that city. Okay.
There's hopefully they're watching. There's a few of our original, like early on roleplay testers that hubbed out of Bernarnagard, and it was such a
with the horse of flints.
Oh man, it was so interesting just trying to watch people pronounce that city, that we were just like, it's got to go. The name's got to go. We've had a couple of moments like that.
Yeah, we still haven't finalized what we're gonna call it.
I mean, now everything hubs out of Garthia anyways, which I gotta back off the role playing game, because that's just where my head's been at. I've been building in that for a little bit too long.
It's all good. I mean, I do want to talk about where we're going, and that's another major part of where we're headed, is the role playing game. So,
because right now, I have been kind of tasked, and also taken this task on to create a group of a different play style outside of our magics. We have essence, we have arcane, and we talked about the mundane. And I'm in the process of really just hunkering down and building the mundane and making actual classes out of the runic magic that is there. And it's been, my brain has been going at like 1,000 miles an hour. It's been awesome.
Excited to see it.
Cause yeah, I haven't even shown Jeff yet, because it's holiday, it's family season, and so we've been just family time in it for a bit.
Well, and with a role-playing game, it's so big. I mean, we bounce stuff off of each other, but it's like you're heading that up, and you have a cool idea, bounce it off of me or whatever. And so we definitely do that. So there's parts of the game, especially the role-playing game, there's parts of it that are like way more Kyle has put more time and effort into, and some of it where I've put more time and effort, and definitely where our wives have put a lot more effort into it.
Absolutely.
So,
and I don't know, Dave, I'm ecstatic. I know, so my buddy Davey is a massive world builder. He's a superstar with this kind of stuff. So I am honestly excited to see what you brew, because we joke about some of the 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 Rust District stuff? Oh, that's a good question.
That
We
is a
actually
good question.
talked about this, so he would ask the question.
I just want to piggyback
Oh,
real quick.
yeah, go for it.
I agree. I'm excited to see what Davey has to build. We want you to stay on track with the rule set.
Yep.
So the magic of Severion, so your essence and your arcane magic are a Dysactos level thing.
Mhm.
So those things are going to maintain. So we have everything divided into these books. So you have your book of essence magic, your book of arcane magic, your book of mundane magic, all that kind of stuff. So those specific things are going to be universal, literally universal. And so, Davey, when you sit down and start homebrewing who your Dysacto is, what they're trying to accomplish, what the world is like, what the seasons are like, all of those different things, 100% you just got to stay on track with like, this is the essence and this is how it works, that kind of thing. But I for sure excited to see that.
Absolutely.
So.
And then yeah, the question was do we have any Severion holidays? Not necessarily, not until after the affirmation. Because celebrations would not have been universal. They would have been very racial specific, and so didn't really hold the test of time, because once after the affirmation, which is this big event that goes down where the 9 races get scattered and punished, and the continents, the Pangea gets cracked into multiple different continents. So then you have a whole bunch of people trying to survive in a now post-apocalyptic type world, which is, there's things that pop up because when you use magic that aggressively, there's consequences. And so that magic created this, like, again, you have people with no home anymore trying to learn how to work together for the first time since ever. Because like all their history would be wiped out at that point. They are effectively like a brand new race, a brand new people that only have 100 years worth of experience, right? Something like that. I don't actually know the actual number. We have it written down somewhere.
Something like that, yeah.
So, and so the seasons didn't actually start until the people were forced, when they did effectively a negotiation with the gods, and the gods were like, "You will give us, was it a month, I believe?
Yeah,
it's a whole month of worship, or we'll come and kill you."
And the Severion is divided into 10 months a year, 40 days a month, 10 days a week. So it's very linear. It's not...
And 25-hour day cycles.
25-hour day cycles. So everything's a lot more like rigid. You know, a week is 10 days, a month is 40 days. That's how it works. A year is 400 days. Like it's very simple with that. And so month number 1 every year is spent celebrating the Horakai.
The gods.
And so the gods. And yeah, so week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then, you know, there's this huge, so that's the only official holiday that we have,
but that can change
currently. I would like to add more. It just hasn't been on the forefront of development right now. Let's have other holidays. So we haven't really been developing that, but pre-affirmation, like after the destruction, before the affirmation, that short time period, probably not.
Nope.
But before the fall, each individual race would have their holidays, and then after the fall, you would have worldwide holidays. You'd have your 1 month every year, and then you'd have an occasional throughout the year, and then you'd have your empires would have their holidays as well. So the Gundharis Empire would have a couple of holidays that were unique to them. So the answer is yes.
Yes,
we have holidays.
They're there. The workings are there for them, but they have not been flushed out.
Yes,
they're all bones, no meat yet.
So I tell you what, Davey, we will answer that question on a podcast with all of the different, and we'll just talk about all the different holidays that we have throughout all the different timelines. We'll just have a whole podcast on that. So we'll flush that out and get that.
I'm excited for when we get to the age of the godless, when there are no more god beings present on the world, and we have a holiday celebrating the extinction of the gods. It's just going to be like giant wicker men being burned.
Yeah, we'll call it the Day of Dwindleven.
Yes, let's go.
Yes. She's like, celebrate me
That led you into the age of enlightenment,
Right.
the age of
No more gods.
So that happens actually. That's already in the story. Dwendolyn effectively, leads the people on a crusade to wipe out all god influence in the world, because you can't wipe out essence. Essence is core. Something with arcane. Those are both the only god function that exists. After her effective rampage.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, I think that's where we've come from, and then like fully fleshed out where we're headed. Like for sure, what we know.
Yes.
That we want to do. Like it's already on the books. We're already starting, work on it and stuff like that. Is obviously the tabletop role playing game that's actively being done right now. We have a couple of people who are sitting in. We're running campaigns. We're testing it and stuff like that. And we have had a number of people in the last, I think, 10 years we've been working on the role playing game, something like that. We haven't been like dynamically, so it's like here and there, but we've been working on it for a while. A lot of people have sat in through that. A lot of great input.
Oh man.
Some shout outs to them as well. Especially if you're watching, thank you. You know who you
Much
are.
appreciated.
Again, I want to make sure that before I say somebody's name
We have
on the
permission.
podcast,
Yeah.
they have given us permission to do so. So it's not that I don't want to say it, and it's not, that I'm just forgetting people. It's that I
who you
don't
are.
want to. I don't want to give somebody, who's like, why did you talk about me online?
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. So again, if you see this and you want me to say your name and you're willing to let me, and you're like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that, I will, and I want to. I just want to make sure you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Like I'm
and
excited
so-
for Beorn Mantua to come out from behind the woodwork here.
Oh my goodness, Baron Mantra. He's probably my favorite character anybody's ever created.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
He played it beautifully.
He did.
He
It
did.
was fun.
He-
it was
he-
lots of fun.
So fair warning, when you play the role playing game, and we're gonna put this in the Lore Keeper's manual, when
Sorry.
the sound transfers really well through the arm. So that was my bad.
No, it was mine.
If you give us a character and you have like 400 years of
It was
life,
5 in
it was
Beorn's.
500 years of life, and you give us a 3-sentence backstory, you're gonna get the punishment, and it's gonna be
Yes.
written that way. So I effectively got to write Beorn Mantua's backstory and fill in some blanks, and the poor guy played his
He played
his
it
shame so well
perfectly. And it became this really cool redemption arc and all that. Like it was so much fun.
Oh
It
yeah.
was pretty cool. And it wasn't me. I didn't play Beorn. It
Nope.
was somebody else. And he has played quite a few rounds of the tabletop and helped with that a lot.
yeah.
So
There's a reason we no longer have stun in the game.
yeah,
because,
him and
the old
person who
SNS.
plays Mikkel. So Beorn Mantua and Mikkel.
Wasn't Beorn. No.
Yeah,
What,
Beorn and Mikkel were the ones that came up with that.
It was Beorn was a warrior. He was not our assassin. Our assassin was our glove wielding individual who would hit himself in the head to get smarter because of the rules and the loopholes that we had. Yep. Our assassin is the one that would swap, and then Mikhail
Oh,
would
you're right.
stun. Yeah.
But it was that group.
it was that group.
It was
yes.
that group that
That group
caused that.
definitely. I remember because my job was to try and kill them. I made the monster encounters.
So that's been fun. Sorry, but we tangented, and then we got another.
You're right.
Well, the only time he gave you 3. Was that the only time? Yeah. The very next time we played, he gave a pretty detailed backstory.
Yes.
And he was like 14 years old. I don't think it was that dramatic, but
No,
yeah,
the punishment was legit. He played
he
it
was
well.
like, "I'm not gonna let you do that again."
So yeah, the
So-
question was, did he learn his lesson the next time he played? Yeah.
And he did, yeah. And he's been pretty instrumental in some of the earlier parts.
Oh yeah, their input has
so-
been massive.
Yeah,
and as far as
for
making
sure.
the role playing game function, because we had a moment for a while where our board game was stalled.
Yeah.
we were stuck. We did not have the capability to progress forward. I don't know why I keep repeating what the word stalled means.
Yeah,
I don't
That's
either.
okay. But we did, and we didn't have the means to make it as good as it is going to be. And now I think we do. I think we're ready for it.
It's ready.
Um,
It has
yeah,
been.
we have a manufacturer ready to go. Everything's lined up, and we will be launching Kickstarter in the near future. I
Yes.
don't have a timeline now. However, if you go to Instagram or Facebook, as soon as we have a date,
We will
we will have a
make a big
countdown
announcement.
for it.
We'll have a special
Um,
podcast shout out too.
The special podcast shout out, and
Definitely.
we'll do that until it launches. We'll talk about it while it launches because it's a big deal. This is how we're actually going to get it on the shelves so that you guys can play it.
And so if you're going back to catch old episodes and we're still promoting our Kickstarter, I'm sorry if you missed it.
Yeah, right. Sorry you missed it. But okay, so to finish off, because we tangented, which
Really bad.
we write stuff on the board because we have a tendency to go off the rails. It's easy to do.
Yeah, it's normal.
So we have the role playing game that's in development, and then we have the initial new races and some of the new abilities that will be introduced into the Destruction
Which is
of
expansion.
Severion, which will be the second edition, and then the third edition. So we have play tested both of those a couple of times. We haven't fleshed them out yet. We don't have any of the artwork, anything like that. But we will be introducing 4 new races and 4 new
Classes.
class types
Yep.
each expansion.
The army style stays the same. The rule sets stay in the same. We're just adding new mechanics that you get to master.
Yep. And so it can be played as a standalone game. So it'll be 4 new races. So there's 4 new board pieces. When you play the board game, everybody has you get a piece of the board as part of the game so that the size of the board is directly relevant to how many people are playing. So if only 4 people are playing, there's not as much space that it takes up as if 9 people are playing. And so it is a standalone. You can play with 4 people. You could do that, but you can play it with. So the rules will cross level, and you can play it on its own or with the other ones.
And I will have to play test it, but I don't see any reason why, with the way we have it developed so far, that you can't take all of the additional races with the original races and make a massive battle royale map.
Yeah, that's what I said. You can
yeah.
cross level it.
Well, I'm just saying.
You just don't have to.
That's not what I think when I think cross level. That's why I was confused, but that makes
So
sense.
the dwarven fire mage will play really well. It'll play alongside the Kamatai paladin. Those things they'll exist in the same world, and the rules will be balanced so that the game can ideally be played together.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I'm saying the words wrong, but what I mean is you can put the new game in with the
old
first game,
and it's not going to be overpowered. It's
And it
going
won't be
to be
overpowered.
balanced out beautifully.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to let you guys play up to
Yes.
12 people at one time.
So, and then last thing that we are actively working on, and this one is in development, and the sooner it comes out, the better. I'm excited for it. But I am basically just keeping Kyle on track, but Kyle is writing the stories. And I'm going to go over this real quick because I don't know. I just want you guys to know I'm excited about it. I want you guys to be excited about it. But Kyle is developing. So there's an event that happens where the Broken, they
There are vampires.
are our version of the vampires. They basically start wreaking havoc in the 9 kingdoms. And so the books are written from the perspective of the orcs and how they deal with the situation. So it'll get into their culture, their people, what they're like, how they interact with the other people, and how they handle the situations at hand. And then you can read the one about the Minotaurs. You can read the one about the elves. And that's the way the book is being designed, or the 9 books will be designed. And then after those 9 are written, the next book, it'll be a trilogy, and it'll be The Fall of Severion will be its own trilogy. But then we don't have to introduce what are the Muscapert like.
Exactly.
You have their story, you have their history, and so you go into reading the trilogy of The Fall knowing who you like and knowing who you're rooting for and all that kind of stuff. Which
spoiler alert, everyone dies.
Spoiler alert, everyone dies. Except Clat.
Eventually.
He actually gets
That's
punished.
fair. He does die eventually.
He dies
Everyone dies eventually.
Yeah, everybody dies eventually. But I just want to have you guys be excited about that because Kyle is a fantastic writer.
Thanks, man.
I'm blown away when I read his work. And I just want you guys to, when you read the rules of the role playing game, the unknown soldier, the story of the unknown soldier, which on the commercial there was just that excerpt, like it's a whole story, and Kyle put all that together, and so it sounds as cool as it does because of him. So
Appreciate that.
It does look like we're out of time, unfortunately.
Well, we'll be back at it, Tuesday? 1 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. Can't say that anymore, so yeah.
Same time, same place?
Same time, same place. We may have a new background. We have to play around with that.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah, we're trying to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're new to it, but we're getting better and better.
Absolutely. And our man in the chair is kicking butt, Ian, Jeff's son, crushing it. And then we didn't have Corbin with us today, but Corbin is our other... He asks us a lot of questions and gets to dig more into the lore. And every now and again, we get my daughter, Taylor, one of my 3, to come in here as well. So,
all right. Well, thank you for all that.
Absolutely, guys.
And, we have an and.
Oh, there's an and.
Davey.
What you got? So, Dave has been... His mind works constantly to world build. It's kind of what...
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
Oh, he wants the hoodies.
Okay, so, okay, yeah, we're totally out of time, but I will answer that real quick. So, these hoodies are not actually going to be for sale.
Yeah.
You can contact Kyle. He can, if you reach out, send us a message or whatever we can figure out how to get you these hoodies. As soon as the Kickstarter launches, we are going to also start having merchandise that is purchasable. It won't be this design. It's a different design, but we are working on that, and that will be available. You can just go onto our Instagram or Facebook, and it'll we're going to pin it as a primary post where you can click on the merchandise and go in. And so you can buy a hoodie. It just won't be this one. My little sister actually made these.
Heck yeah, she did great. I wear the crap out of mine.
And so if you really, really want one, go to our social media, or if you're friends with Kyle directly, just reach out, send a message, and we'll figure out how to get you one. My little sister still does this stuff, so we can get you one for sure. We're just not going to mass produce these. So if you really, really want this one specifically, you have to reach out directly and say, hey, I want the one that you and Kyle wear.
Is she going to do the wall of text on the back too? Or is that...
No, she said she's never going to do that again.
Okay.
But nobody can see that. So.
Exactly. I just wanted to make sure, because if we could, I was going to showcase that. But if not, then no.
No.
No wall of text.
No wall of text. If you have questions about that, also ask, because I guess she might be willing to, but it will cost more. So
it's a lot of time involved.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in.
And